Hi, welcome to SoCal Surf with Dan. Today we have a special guest, one of our sponsors, Danny Nappy from nappyclothing.com. Give him a listen to, and we're going to go out tomorrow. We're going to learn how to skimboard. I've done it before in the past, but it's been years. So we're going to try to hone our skills. Right now, skimboarding, what that is it's the water between the ocean itself that washes up on the sand and retreats back. So we try to ride that little thin layer of water back towards the ocean. And as we get better at it, we're going to hopefully try to catch some of those shore break waves and ride them back in. So we're going to talk to Danny now. Danny, how's it going?
It's going well. My whole thing is surfing. I'm a fair weather surfer. I'm from Utah, so I'm not good enough really to get out there and shake it up with the locals. And so I kind of got turned off to surfing and trying to relearn every time. So decided to take up skimboarding. You're less out there in the water, in the cold water. You can go out there in the middle of the day and not worry about the chop and other surfers. You can get your tan on. You can go out with friends and screw around. You can still get a workout. You can be in there in the water. And so it's a great way kind of for the middle of the day. A lot of the best surfing is early in the morning, and nobody has time for that. So you go out there, get your tan, and get some skimboarding on in the middle of the day.
Yes, I agree 100%. It's a fun sport. Like I said, I have done it in the past, so hopefully we'll be able to do it again tomorrow. We're going to do this tomorrow, probably after I get done regular surfing, and then I'll come home, switch it up, grab the skimboards, and head back out. And so it should be really fun. I'm gonna try. In fact, we're gonna try to video some of this, and we'll put it on YouTube if it works, or even if it doesn't work. But I think it's gonna work. We both are pretty athletic. It's not an extremely difficult sport, but it's gonna take a little bit of a learning, I think, don't you?
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be a learning curve to it.
Yeah. So what we're gonna try. We can do it.
See how it goes.
Yeah. So barring any severe injuries, we'll be back tomorrow with an account of how we learned how to skimboard, and with me relearn, and with nappyclothing.com here, we're going to see if it takes long to learn how to do it. Of course, we're not going to be pros. We're not going to get sponsors tomorrow.
Oh, we'll be pros.
We're going to get
pros.
We might make a friend or two, but we're not going to pick up any sponsors on this deal. But it's going to be fun. So we'll get back tomorrow, and in the meantime, we'll see you soon. So we're back from our skimboarding adventure. Well, as you might have guessed, it's not as easy as we thought it would be. Still fun, but we had a rough time with it. And we do have a YouTube video that I uploaded. And you can find that at First Attempt at Skimboarding on YouTube. So give it a try. Let me know if it works. So, getting back to skimboarding, as I said, it wasn't as easy as we thought. In fact, it's very difficult to learn how to jump onto a sliding piece of wood on water.
It was hard. The thing I think we realized is you have to commit fully to it. You need speed, and you got to be able to stay on top of the water. And we weren't committing, so we were a little trepidatious. We'd hit the board, and it would kind of dig into the sand, and then we would fly off it. So one or two more tries out there and we'll have it down.
I think we'll be able to get it after a while. I think like anything, you have to stay with it. You can't expect, just like surfing, you can't expect the first day that you're going to go out there and start surfing. It's not like tennis. So yeah, it's going to take some training, some more time.
Yeah, but it was fun. Just how I envisioned it out there in the sun.
Beautiful day too.
Didn't get too cold, and got some tan on.
Yes,
so it'll be good.
Maybe a little bit too much sun. Got a little red, but that's because we were out for a couple days, I think. So there you have it, our skimboarding adventure. So let's
first try. We'll get out there again and do it. Find a better spot with more of a hill towards down into the water.
Yeah, I think the tide has something to do with that. I think the sand has to be at more of an angle. We were pretty flat, I think. So we're going to find a better place. Plus, there's a lot of people there. It's kind of crowded, so we had to watch. There were some other skimboarders there that were doing pretty well, and so there is hope for us. So until next time, that's all we got for now. Thank you.
Peace.
Peace out. Well, I'm back again. SoCal Surf. This is Dan. Well, it was good to get back in the water surfing after our, well, let's say failed attempt at skim boarding last time. But still fun. But today was back in the water, back on the surf. And we had, I'd say it was a cold day. The water was really cold. The sun was not shining. And it was kind of a little bit of a stormy condition in the water today. It wasn't really that much wind, but it was choppy, so we don't know where the chop came from, but a little bit choppy and a little bit cold, so it wasn't pleasant to get in. But once we got in and started paddling around and catching waves, of course you feel a lot warmer if you keep moving, which we did, and caught a lot of waves. Got, I'd say they were probably knee-high to maybe waist-high, not very big. But still fun. Caught one that got a good left, came off the bottom and pulled up hard on the top and kicked it back down and got back into the wave quickly, and it started to speed up, and so I was heading down the line pretty fast. For a small wave, it was about the most exciting thing that happened all day, except for a lot of good crashes. We were on the other side of the jetties at Newport, I'd say 29th Street. And the difference there is the waves come in and then they hit kind of a shelf, sandbar, if you will, and the waves will jack up all of a sudden. So if you're late, if you don't catch the wave soon enough and stand up soon enough and turn soon enough, then you go over the falls because it's too steep and too quick. And usually you go forward and the board goes backwards. So I saw my friend a couple of times, his board was completely airborne, as far up as it can go with a leash on it, and more than once. And I had a couple of close calls where I didn't turn quite quick enough, so I just held on to the front part of the board and rode it on my belly, going flying down the line, and just couldn't get up because the wave kept hitting me, and I couldn't quite get in front of it. So I rode the wave for 5-6 seconds, whatever it was, on my stomach, flying down the line. So it was still fun, but not my preferred procedure for riding a wave. And those were all lefts. I got one right where I came down off the wave and did my bottom turn, and the wave was already breaking. So I tried to turn back in, and the wave took the board faster than I wanted it to, and the board went flying forward, and I fell back into the wave and was tumbled around a bit. But after it breaks on that shelf, then the water's shallow, so you can just stand up. So it's not real. You don't get thrown around much on the smaller surf like you do in the big surf. And speaking of big surf, on Saturday I walked down to the pier to watch the contest. It's sponsored by a schools, and I don't know who exactly sponsors it, but it's for the people that are in, I think, elementary, junior high school, and possibly high school. And they were out at Huntington Pier, and it was probably 6 feet on the average wave came in about there. But then every once in a while, these big sets would come in, and they were probably 10 feet, maybe more faces, and real strong. And these poor little kids would be paddling out, and staying in the smaller area, and then all of a sudden these big sets would come in and just wipe them out. And then all you'd see are heads and surfboards because all the kids would be trying to get air from being thrown around from these waves. But it's really fun to watch. These little kids, I mean, they're, 10, 12, 13, 14 years old, and they're out in this big surf riding these waves. And they actually make the waves look bigger because they're so short. But it's fun to watch these little kids because they can get air and they can spin around and stuff that I used to be able to do. Excuse me. They can, they just are light, and they're agile, they're athletic, and so they're able to do things that as you get older, you wish you could still do, but you can't. So it's fun to watch them. They also have they all seem to do the same thing. When they get towards the end of the wave, they always have this look on their face like, oh, it's all over. I don't know what they're thinking. But it's they make it more dramatic than it really is. But again, still fun to watch. So we're going to see what happens here with the surf. We're getting closer to summer, and the summer does change. The surf, we've been spending a lot of time at Newport, and last year we spent all this time at Huntington. So you never know what the ocean's going to do. You kind of have to go along with whatever it wants. So well, I think we're looking at some changes coming pretty soon. When the water gets really cold like this, it means that it's starting to change. And so within a few weeks and possibly a month, the water will start warming up, and then we'll start seeing more of a summer flow. And then by June, things will start to turn and get really nice as far as water temperature and air temperature. And the drawback, of course, is more people. Right now, with the cold water and the cold air, the crowd is very thin. I mean, where we've had, elbow to elbow in the water lately, the last few days I've been going, it's just been 3 of us or 4 of us in one area. And rarely would somebody else come into it, because there's so much room. You just find your spot. And there's, where there used to be, 20 or 30 people between me and the jetty, which would be about 100 yards. Today there were 8 people in that 100-yard, stretch. And then where we were at 29th Street, we were pretty much the only 3 people in the water within, say, that same 100-yard distance. So there's just 3 of us in a 100-yard, spread. And then as the day went on, by the first half hour, there was 2 or 3 others that came in closer, but still not close enough to us that we could even talk to them. And then by the time 9 o'clock came around, there was maybe, I'd say 15 to 20 people between the jetties, which again is a 200-yard spread. So that's the advantage of the cold water. And the disadvantage of the cold water is it's really cold, and it's if you feel your muscles tightening up, and so you don't perform. I don't think you can perform as well when you're cold like that. And my wetsuit's getting old, and so it's leaking. So I got cold water coming in, and every time you have to duck dive, you get a nice refreshing flush of cold water through your body, and it takes a minute for it to warm back up. But if you keep moving, keep paddling, catching waves, it warms up pretty quick inside the wetsuit. But every duck dive, your face just feels that cold water on it, and it's just and so you get up going, whoo, that's cold. So that's the disadvantage. The advantage is less people. Disadvantage, it's cold. But also it's a little stormy. I think the summer you get a little more smoother surf, because there's not so many storms out in the Pacific. Which you want storms in the Pacific because that's what produces the waves. So if you're a surfer, you're kind of what they call a storm chaser. But you don't really chase the storms. You chase the aftermath of what the storm has done, hopefully further out to sea. Closer the storm is to the shore, the rougher it gets. The further out in the ocean the storms occur, by the time the waves come all the way in, they smooth out and become more consistent. So that's our surfing for today. Nice waves, a little bumpy, but when it hits that shelf and it jacks up, it gets steep, and you can get a lot of speed. Even though they're small, you can really get a lot of speed and do some nice cutbacks and some deep bottom turns. And if you can time that bottom turn just right, you can get that top cutback really hard too. If you don't, you turn back too late, then you fall out the back of the wave, which I did a couple times today because I just didn't quite get enough turn in. But for the most part, turns came well. The turns came fast and consistent. So I'm very happy with the surf today. And I had one guy with a foam board. He was getting. It's harder to on a bigger, more flotation to get up and turn quickly. And the conditions really wanted you to get up and turn fast. And he didn't always get that turn in fast enough, so he was doing a lot of tumbling and going over the falls and tumbling with his board. So again, smaller surf, not a big deal. Not a lot of risk there. So not to worry too much about that. But there was something that does make me worry a little bit is in the water today. Even for the last few days, I've noticed that there's this brownish, greenish puke that's floating around in the water. And I think it's some kind of microorganism of some kind. And it's kind of brownish when you see the white water break out further.